Good evening and welcome to Political Exchange. In a major blow to the government, the Supreme Court today asked the centre to submit pricing details of the Rafale deal in a sealed cover within 10 days. The government stuck to its stand, which is that the price of each Rafale jet is confidential and has not even been shared or disclosed to Parliament. But this really did not cut ice with the Apex Court, which said that if the price details can't even be shared in a sealed cover with the court, then the government should file an affidavit to that effect. It also observed that the information regarding induction of Indian offset partner be given to court and the petitioner. Earlier this month, Yashwant Sinha, Arun Shourie, Prashant Bhushan, they had filed a petition demanding a CBI probe into the Rafale deal and Dassault's choice of Anil Ambani-led Reliance Defence as an offset partner. But first, let's listen in to the former finance minister and a petitioner, in this case, Mr. Yashwant Sinha. Today, the Supreme Court has asked the government to submit pricing details of the 36 Rafale jets. Do you think this is a welcome step which will finally clear the air on the Rafale deal?
Yes, you know, the government has been extremely cagey about the whole deal and particularly about pricing of the Rafale jets. And earlier, the Supreme Court had ordered that they will only look at the procedure followed, and they wanted the government to give a reply on that in a sealed cover. Now, today's development is very positive because now the Supreme Court is going to go into the pricing of the Rafale jet. That's number one. And number two, very importantly again, they have also said that you tell us about the contract given under offset. How were the offset contracts given? So these were the issues that we were raising. The procedure issue, the price issue, and the offset issue.
You have asked for a CBI probe, sir. You have asked for a larger CBI probe into the entire Rafale deal. You had met the CBI director, right, Alok Verma, as well. Why do you think it's important to know the pricing, the exact pricing of the Rafale deal, and why is an investigation needed into this?
Well, you know, we are insisting on this because by doing two things: one, raising the price abnormally, and by bringing in a private party in the offset arrangement, namely Reliance Defence, the government has completely given a go-by to what was being negotiated earlier. And there must be a reason. And what could be that reason? That reason could only be some pecuniary gain to somebody. And that is why we went to the CBI, explaining the whole thing, supporting it with documents, and said, please proceed in the matter, register an FIR. And when the CBI refused to do so, we have gone to the Supreme Court with the same appeal, and you know what the judges said about the CBI.
Talking about the CBI, sir, you, Mr. Prashant Bhushan, and Mr. Arun Shourie had met Mr. Alok Verma with a whole set of documents on the Rafale deal, seeking an inquiry there. There has been this speculation that Mr. Alok Verma was on the verge of initiating a preliminary inquiry into the Rafale deal. Do you think the fact that he was divested of all his duties has something to do with this matter as well?
Yes, I think the fact that the government swooped down on him and decided to seal his offices and seize all the documents is an act of panic. And why would that panic arise? Need for that panic? Obviously, Alok Verma was going to do something which the government didn't want him to do. And they felt that unless they divested him of all his responsibilities, he might proceed the next day in this matter.
Had he assured you, sir? Did he assure you that a PE would be launched into the Rafale deal?
No,
did you get any assurances from the CBI director?
He did not give us an assurance, but the paper, our complaint was lying with him, and it is quite plausible I have no personal information on this, but it is quite plausible, as you said, that he was wanting to proceed in the matter.
In fact, when Prashant Bhushan had urged the Supreme Court to order a CBI probe, the court said that can wait. Let the CBI put its own house in order first. Remember, the two senior officials of the Central Bureau of Investigation are fighting before the Supreme Court as well. Joining us now for a discussion are Congress spokesperson Pawan Khera, BJP spokesperson Syed Zafar Islam, and we would be joined by senior advocate and NCP MP, Mr. Majeed Memon. But our first question to the BJP spokesperson Zafar Islam. Zafar, isn't this embarrassing for the government? All this while you were saying that the pricing details cannot be revealed to Parliament. It is confidential under a secret clause with the French government, and now the Supreme Court has asked for all the pricing details and details of the offset partner as well?
Well, first of all, Parikshit, I have been told by your colleague that the topic of the discussion is different than what the discussion which is being discussed now, which is being debated on your program. But away from that, let me tell you that whatever the Supreme Court observation has come, that will be examined by the government, and the appropriate response will be given by the government. But as far as Rafale deal is concerned, we are absolutely confident and sure that the Congress party's allegation, and anybody who is making this kind of a allegation, false allegation, will have no face to say, because everything is above board. Every single transaction, whatever transaction has been concluded with the French government is above board, and it is in the interest of the nation, in the interest of the Air Force. So we are not overly worried or worked up purely because the Supreme Court has made such a sudden observation. But of course, the government will examine the observation and the statement or whatever has come from the CBI, and whatever appropriate response has to go from the government will go.
Yeah. Okay, let's
let me tell you one more thing before you ask.
Saying this deal was absolutely above board. All the details are in public domain, and the government had nothing to do with this offset partnership between Dassault and Reliance Defence. This was absolutely a commercial contract, and Dassault chose Reliance Defence, and the BJP government had nothing to do with it. So how do you respond?
I'll start with this. The offset policy, read clause 7.3 of the offset policy. And please share it with my friend Zafar Islam, because I don't think he's read it. And Mr. Zafar Islam should then share it with the Defence Minister. I don't think she has read it. The Defence Minister should share it with Mr. Jaitley and Prime Minister of India, because they haven't read it. The clause is very clear that without the approval of the DG Acquisition and DG Technical, no offset partner can be chosen. And the proposed offset partner and all his presentation has to be shared with the Ministry of Defence within 3 weeks of the contract. So we know what we are talking about. Offset policy was penned by our government, not by yours. You tried to amend it and weaken it, we know that. Number two, there are 18 articles in that Indo-French agreement on classified material and information on defence. Show me one article out of those 18 which says that pricing gets covered under the secrecy clause. The President of France says this is the price. Anil Ambani reveals the price. Go and file a case against both of them. If it violates any secrecy clause, why are you sitting quiet? And if the Parliament of India
Pawan,
asks on behalf of the taxpayer of India to the government of India कि भैया आप हमारा पैसा खर्च कर रहे हो, कितना खर्च कर रहे हो, this is the right of every taxpayer.
But Pawan,
प्रधानमंत्री को अपनी जेब से तो दे नहीं रही.
Eric Trappier, the CEO of Dassault Aviation, had also said that the business with Anil Ambani-led Reliance Defence would be about 850 crores, and this sum of 30,000 crore rupees that is doing the rounds is incorrect, it's inaccurate. And Reliance Defence is just one of the many or 30 offset partners in India.
Parikshit, I'm glad you asked this question. The presentation to shareholders, there is a document called the Presentation to Shareholders by Mr. Anil Ambani. He says, I have managed, I have bagged 30,000 crores worth of offsets from Dassault. Who is lying, I don't know. The shareholders also need to know whether Anil Ambani was lying or Trappier is lying. And the CEO Dassault interestingly says that we chose Reliance Anil Ambani Group because they have a land close to the Nagpur airport. He forgot to read. The land came in August 2015. It was allotted 289 acres near Mihan, near the Nagpur airport. The deal got inked in April 2015. The land comes 4 months after the deal. Yet, Mr. Trappier goes on air and says, no, we chose this partner because they had land. What, HAL doesn't have land? The land which belongs to HAL is not close to the Bangalore airport?
But you know,
what is this happening?
One question that this raises, Zafar, is the fact
can I
that
just respond, please?
today the Supreme Court seriously feels that it is important to get to know all the details of the Rafale deal. It may be in a sealed cover, but the details should now come before the Supreme Court. Don't you think that the BJP government could have avoided this controversy?
Well, I
At
will
some
not
stage, crucial
comment
details,
on
crucial
the...
clarifications on how the offset partner was chosen, how were the pricing details agreed upon, that could have been made public.
Well, Parikshit, I will not respond to your question whether it has become a complicated issue for the government or government has made it complicated for itself or the Supreme Court has asked a complicated question. I mean, this is nothing, there's something which government has to respond to that question, but there are a few things I would like to mention. First of all, as I said, it is an above board deal. So we are not worried. We are not at all worried. Second, what is more important, the price is in public domain that the government has already informed that whatever has been negotiated earlier, it is 9% lower on a simple plane. If you just buy a plane with all the other additional weaponry and the missile system which has been put in place, the overall cost which UP had negotiated, it is 20% lower than the cost they had negotiated. So the benchmark has already been in public domain that the price which has been negotiated is lower than what the price of the platform they had negotiated, and with additional weaponry, what is the additional price they had agreed to pay? It is 20% lower than that. So that has been put to bed by the government itself. Second thing, in terms of all the other processes and all that has followed.
Zafar,
and
there have been disclosures regarding the Rafale deal by MOS Bhamre, the Minister of State for Defence, in Parliament as well, on the floor of the House. There have been disclosures on the Rafale deal. He may not have disclosed the full price, but he did disclose the price of each Rafale aircraft. At the same time, in the Dassault Aviation annual report, the pricing of the Rafale deal has been indicated as well. So when you have public sources of information, why not clear the air for the public, for the Parliament itself?
No, but Parikshit, see, what exactly the benchmark pricing has already been indicated. What they had negotiated, what we have paid, the platform cost as well as the weaponry details. But what they want, and something which they should really understand, that as a responsible opposition party, they want the weaponry details and the breakup. How much on what weaponry which has been added, what kind of missile and what technology we have which has been used. I mean, these kind of details, why do you want to make it public? And who will be the beneficiary? Not the Congress party, not the people of India, not the Air Force. It is our enemy nations like Pakistan and China will be the beneficiary. So there are something which it is not for the first time. There are some confidential information which has not been shared even on the floor of Parliament, and it is not only by us, even by the UPA government. And if there is a confidentiality clause is there, which has been signed in 2006 and which has been again signed in 2016,
smiling at what you're saying. We will go across to Pawan Khera after this break, because Pawan, the BJP maintains that this deal is much better than what the UPA had negotiated way back in 2012. We'll come to that point in just a bit, but it's time now for a short break.